Oh, jeez. Kill me now. Microphone is off. Damn it. Why do I do these things? Why do I even do these things? God, I had a whole intro written, and I did the whole intro, and then someone's like, mic's off. I'm just like, oh, Jesus. Alright, well, click of a button. I guess I'll start over. God. Shit. Okay. Anyway. Alright, so I know this isn't my normal type of content, but today I'm here to fit in live streams to substitute for regular videos. Basically, I'm here to take a look at Chris Chan. I watched all 86 parts of the comprehensive Chris Chan documentary. And it's not so that you don't have to. It's so that we can watch them all again with a little bit better understanding here, now. So, yeah, good to see everyone. I'm sorry about the glitches there, but without further ado, we're going to start off the part one of the Chris Chan coverage documentary. I'm going to do all of them. And I hope everyone's having a good day. We're going to get into this. It's about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, something like that. Anyway, it's terrible, and it only gets worse. Here we go. Now, I might skip the beginnings of these because it's very musical.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, and dudes of all teenagers, as well as the gals. My name is Christian Chandler. I am here, and y'all are there.
Chris Chan. Arguably the most documented person in history.
It's not arguably anymore.
His antics have been witnessed by millions, with many always keeping a close eye on him, waiting to see what he does next.
Because all you do is make me feel sad and depressed. He should love his mother. She misses him. Hello, we're live on the internet. What do you want? Mom, hello. I love the women outside. Do not hate. Hate is not so good. I want everything about my house off the internet! Don't call anybody.
What? I'm after shake. What are you gonna do about it? Yeah, whatever.
What made him this way? What is the attraction? What keeps us fascinated? This is the story of Chris Chan.
Okay, before we go any further, I just want to tell everyone this is by Gino Samuel 2.1. That's the YouTube channel, and I'm pretty sure I'm not certain, but I'm pretty sure that all of that music was created by him. So this might be the only time you ever hear that. This might cause me monetization issues. We'll just deal with it for the first time here. You know, whatever. But moving on.
Christopher Weston Chandler was born on February 24, 1982, in Charlottesville, Virginia, to parents Bob, aged 54, and Barbara, 40. Bob had worked in the engineering field for Western Electric and later General Electric. The family held Bob's life accomplishments very proudly, as he had at least 7 patents to his name, including mechanisms used in the production of Kleenex and molding of plastic water containers. Bob was very world-conscious and was an avid collector of stamps since a very young age. Later in life, he developed a love for music, especially foreign music. He eventually amassed a collection of over 10,000 vinyl records.
You know, it's weird to look back on this. I've already watched all these, right? So, like, it's weird to look back on Bob and hear about his early years and hear him referred to as a world, what was it, a world traveler, a world, someone who, enjoys the world. Because it just doesn't seem that way, right? Basically just stayed at home his whole life, like, after his patents were paid and after he was getting his royalties. I don't know.
He had a son
Rest in
and daughter
peace,
from
Bob,
a
yeah.
previous marriage, the relationships with whom were strained, to say the least. Barbara was a secretary with Virginia Power. She had a habit of hoarding her belongings and was an emotionally abusive person, which convinced her then 17-year-old son, Cole Smithy, to seek independence and live life on his own. So when Chris came along, Bob and Barb got a chance to start anew. The new family started their new life in their humble Ruckersville home. Chris later claimed that at around 2 months of age, he uttered his first word, monkey. It didn't take long for the parents to see that Chris wasn't quite like most other babies. The first signs of his autism could be witnessed in 1983. Despite his condition being congenital, he had stated that his autism was brought about by one particularly traumatic event when he was 18 months old. A babysitter named Roach, or Roach, would look after baby Christopher whenever his parents would go out in the evenings. One of these nights, Chris inadvertently infuriated her, and she locked him in a room filled with toys, in the dark, alone. This would prove so traumatic that he refused to speak for the next 6 years. Even though he sees this event as the source of all his troubles, he does not blame his parents for keeping Roach as his babysitter, for they did not know better.
See, here's one of the reasons why I wanted to cover Chris Chan. I have children. You may have heard one just now. One of them might have autism. We're not certain yet, but it certainly kind of looks that way. And I see some parallels in Chris Chan's behaviors sometimes, but I often look at this and it bugs me. You know, he just throws blame at everyone around him. And maybe he's right to a certain extent, but oh buddy, does it get worse.
Despite living out his childhood as a mute, Chris was anything but quiet. He confessed later on in life that he screeched often and was very troublesome to his parents. In 1985, the Hammer household moved into the neighborhood. The Hammers and the Chandlers struck up a cordial relationship, which led to Chris forming a bond with the Hammer's daughter, Sarah. Looking back, Chris considered her to be his closest childhood friend, and that she greatly helped him with his autism. However, from what is known of their relationship, it is also likely that she took advantage of Chris's innocence and trust, and may be seen more as a bully than a friend. For example, she once told him that Casper the Friendly Ghost was hiding under her house. Naturally, Chris crawled into the Hammer's crawl space to find him, only to find spiderwebs, bugs, and dirt instead. Sarah locked him in. After about half an hour, her dad came to his rescue. On another occasion, she told Chris that if he were to eat the upper thing of a honeysuckle, it would taste like honey. This is a reference to the berries of a honeysuckle, which can be slightly harmful if ingested in large doses. Fortunately, their parents told them of the dangers of doing so before Christopher could fulfill Sarah's wish.
Yeah, you're not supposed to eat
At the age of
actual honeysuckle. Like, we did that as kids too. You're supposed to, like, take the little middle part and then, like, run it on your tongue and then throw it away. You don't eat it.
5.
Yeah, that's like Chris's first experience with the outside world, right? Like, the first people that he knew were just not great. Like, first friends, first relationships, not great.
Chris began studying at Greene County Primary School together with Sarah. It is not known how he was treated here or how he got along with the other kids. In addition to taking regular classes at the primary school, he received language training at James Madison University. In 1987, in a lengthy letter addressed to Chris, dated December 26th, Bob offered his outlook on life and presented some life advice for his son. There are many sides to a mountain and many ways to climb it. If you get stopped, back off, regroup, and try another way. If you are still not successful, maybe it is not meant to be. If it is meant to be, having it on the back burner simmering for a while is not bad. It will pop up again, and the way to attain it will be there. Everything in its time. Your mother and I have done our best for you, and in return, we expect at least that from you, for yourself and your children. He also expressed wishes for his son to inherit and hold dearly his vast collection of music, movies, stamps, and art prints. He reminisced about the straight razor which he inherited from his grandfather, which he carelessly broke while using it as a screwdriver. Bob still held on to that broken razor his entire life because his grandfather wanted him to have it. Bob hoped that Chris would share his father's sentiment. I hope that you will not carelessly misuse, waste, or destroy the value of the many things I have collected for you. First, learn all about them, how to use them and enjoy them, their value, and how you can thoughtlessly waste their value. Then enjoy them as I have. For example, my very good stamp collection, or all the recorded popular music on cassette tape, VCR tapes, and records. My books on popular music, movies, entertainers, musical theater, ship models, my daylilies, gazebo, and dreams. This letter offers an insight into Bob's character, as he feared that all he had accomplished over the course of his life may be lost. In 1989, during a weekly trip to the toy store with his mother, Chris picked up a GoBot up on display and slowly started to read out the text on the package, ending his 6 years of silence. Later that same year, Bob and Chris converted the shed in their backyard into a workshop, christening it the Dreaming Studio. Bob had hoped that he and his son would build things together there. He even commemorated the space with a plaque, Dreaming Studio of Mr. C and Little C, where dreams do come true.
Damn. Give me 1 sec, guys. I gotta take care of this kid. We'll stop it right there on that picture. Certainly in remembrance. Is it remembrance or remembrance? Whatever. In memory of Bob. Hey, sweetheart. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Huh? What's going on with you? Huh? Yeah, you're good. What if I put you down here? You ain't no pee or anything, no. No, you're good. You're good. What? There's a baby. Alright. Let's continue. Oh, lots of comments. My God. Being autistic, there's things I recognize that she does most likely because of her autism, but she always chooses the wrong way to respond to things and doesn't work on herself at all. Yeah. Any heroes in this story? Yeah, I guess if there's anyone, it's Bob. And you know what? I would say an unseen hero in the story is Noel. We'll learn about him later, but Noel is like the creator of Kiwi Farms originally. Before I think it was called Quickie Forums beforehand. I think he really was a good person, like at his core. But we'll get on that later.
However, when asked about it, Chris could not recall what, if anything, had been built there. It was instead mostly used by Barbara for storage. For Christmas of that year, he got a Nintendo Game Boy. This was also the year that the family got Patty Chandler, a Beagle Spitz mix, which they picked up as a pup from their Aunt Karina. Chris grew very attached to the dog, displaying a fondness and arguably a love rarely shown for anything or anyone else in his life. In 1990, Bob co-hosted a jazz marathon on WTJU radio. During the program, he displayed his keen knowledge on 20s and 30s jazz music.
Okay, now we go on to...
I like to think that that was the advertisement for the radio company. They were just like, and today we've got Bob Chandler. Here he is, and he's just like...
Jazz Marathon on WTJU Radio. During the program, he displayed his keen knowledge on 20s and 30s jazz music.
Okay, now we go on to performance number 2, which is Tight Like That. This is November the 9th,
Hang on.
1928, with Chicago.
Someone's calling me. Hang on a second, you guys. Who's calling me? Who's calling me? Ah! Okay.
Chicago personnel, Tampa Red's Hokum Jug Band. There's a great group of Chicago musicians featuring kazoo, guitar, and jug by Hudson Whitaker. Tampa Red's guitar, Thomas A. Dorsey is on the piano and the washboard. Frankie Half-Pint Jackson vocals interact to make this a great session. Listen for some very good kazoo and jugs, and notice how Half-Pint Jackson laughs like scat singing. Very unusual.
1990 also marked the last year of Chris's tenure at Greene County Primary School. For his fourth...
Look at the Ritz here, man. Oh my god. First of all, that jacket's kick-ass. And here's what I think you'll come to find about Chris Chan. Early Chris Chan, especially Kid Chris Chan, was cool. I think he was all right, you know? He just made very bad choices, and then it became female Chris Chan later. Oh, that's why I just want everybody to know that's why I'm referring to him as him. It's hard as well because I think that he made that transition for all the wrong reasons. So just bear that in mind. Give me a little leeway there. But look at that. Look at this absolute Mac Daddy picture. He's like, bitches.
With great studies, he transferred to Nathaniel Greene Elementary School. It was here where he allegedly had very distressing experiences. He asserts that the staff at the school didn't know how to handle autistic children and treated him cruelly. Chris contends that 5 members of staff abused him by pinning him down to the ground, holding his wrists and ankles, and audiotaping his cries. Further,
see, this is a big story. This is a big story in the Chris Chan history, that Chris was, at some point in his high school career, held down, or maybe not high school career, at some point in his school time, he was held down by teachers, and they didn't know what to do with him. And I think this may have happened. I think it's reflective of the understanding of autism in those days, which was very poor. That's why you saw a lot of license plates. At least I saw a lot of license plates. And stickers and other things, but mostly license plates. Autism awareness, you know, stuff like that. So, yeah, I think that this probably happened. And maybe a lot of teachers were like, what is he doing? Because, I know, what he's not saying in that story is that he was probably like thrashing and probably striking people, or you just don't know. So autism flares up in many different ways.
furthermore, he claimed that the principal forced
I talk about it like it's some skin issue. It's you know what? I'm coming to understand autism as much as the next person as we go day by day. So I apologize if I'm coming off as, you know, weird.
him to sit on his lap and said offensive things to him. But little Christopher resisted, and the advances never went further than that. The principal is also claimed to be gay, which Chris feels justifies his homophobia. I was abused by one. A homosexual principal at my elementary school slapped me on his lap, said some offensive things to me, and I felt uncomfortable. Even though Chris's accounts of the events could not be verified, it is also not unlikely that an event like this could have taken place. Though Chris never specified the reasoning behind their attacks, nor did he state whether him being restrained and being assaulted by the principal were separate or related events, it is possible that he may have been restrained and verbally abused as a form of disciplinary action, and even placed in a scream room, which was a fairly common school installation for dealing with autistic children up until the mid-1990s. Whatever events transpired, it forced Chris's parents to take him away from Nathaniel Green Elementary School. To further things, they took the case to Greene County Court, after the school board threatened to take Chris out of Main.
See, this is why me and Lily are considering homeschooling, because that is just insane. The scream room, good lord.
Mainstream education, and instate him into a special needs school. The Chandlers dropped the case. For the remainder of the school year, he was homeschooled.
Yeah, good point.
It was around this tumultuous time that young Christopher had an uplifting experience that would change his life. During a shopping trip in Richmond, possibly in December 1992, but in other accounts he stated that it was 1989, he came across the Leonard Bernstein Symphony Orchestra, a show comprised of animatronic characters that is held around Christmas time at the Regency Square shopping mall.
Kick ass.
The conductor, Leonard Bernstein, is made to be fully interactive with his audience with the help of a human controller behind the scenes. On this blessed day, the turnout for the show was weak, so Chris got extra attention from the bear. When Leonard asked him his name, the person controlling the animatronic misheard it and answered back, calling him Christian. The boy took this as a profound sign and felt that he should be called Christian. In order for Chris to continue with formal education, Bob and Chris moved to Chesterfield County, while Barbara remained in the family house in Ruckersville with Patty, so she could keep working. Christian enrolled in Providence Middle School in Richmond. He looked back fondly over his time here, giving special credit to his teacher Virginia Sanford. She was the most influential teacher in my life. During my years at Providence Middle School, she taught me better social skills, how to better cope with other people, bullies, and life. With a positive and fun tomboyish attitude, she was a teacher any child would be most proud to look up to and be taught by. He also forged a friendship with Natasha Turner, a girl a few years older than him. He lost romantic interest in her when he saw her smoking. They would often hang out together at the bus stop. He would sometimes give her money on behalf of his father for her friendship and attention. Chris would later realize that Natasha was, in a sense, a friend with benefits. She would stay with him and be friendly in exchange for a monetary reward from Bob.
Yeah, that's the first of many different rumors of Bob allegedly paying Chris's friends to be his friends, specifically his later on high school gal pals, which he will reference for years to come. Years. Up till this day, really.
Bob knew that his son had little hope in forming true friendships otherwise.
What? The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, the cool new TV show, is on the air.
In the fall of '93, Sega, the video game developer, held a Watch and Win sweepstakes contest in conjunction with their Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon. The lucky winner would get a $1,000 shopping spree at KB Toys. And that winner was Chris.
Christian is one of only about 100 winners nationally to receive $1,000 worth of Sega games and equipment. For his parents, it's just another example of how well he's doing. Christian is a high-functioning autistic child. This past fall, on his own initiative, he entered a contest based on a favorite cartoon character.
What I had to do was exactly watch Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon and I'd listen to what Sonic says at the end of it and write it down for a whole week. And then I had to mail it in, and it has to be drawn out of a hat, and I just won.
And Christian's father says it only takes a few hours for him to master an electronic game and then move on to another.
Unbelievable.
I can't master any of them. That's it for now.
That's because you're an idiot. That's because you're an idiot. I'm sorry. They're not that hard. Anyway, what was I going to say? This was a pivotal moment for Chris. This moment, winning this, was it $1,000 shopping spree? This really did change his life. because he'll refer to this moment and the 1989 being referred to as Christian moment literally for the rest of his life. But that right there just now was, I'm pretty sure that was the first recorded video of Chris. Yeah, it's very interesting, right? He's just like, and I mailed it in and I won. It's kind of cute.
It down for a whole week, and then I had to mail it in, and I had to be drawn out of a hat, and I just won.
And Christian's father says it only takes a few hours for him to master an electronic game and then move on to another. I can't master any of them.
The thing to remember about this moment, though, is that every bit of this $1,000, the being chosen, it went straight to his head. The reason why he keeps referencing this for years to come is because he literally thinks that he is chosen. He thinks that he is more important than everyone else. I guess I should say she at this point, but yeah, we'll get to it.
That's it for now, and it's...
This is the first of many competitions that he entered during his life and has cemented itself as a likely key reinforcer to his future sense of entitlement.
...of how well he is getting along.
Yep.
On December 29th, 1993, the Richmond Times-Dispatch published an article about Christian's magical encounter with Leonard Bernstein entitled, "It Took a Talking Bear to Give the Name a Young Boy Loves." The boy...
Yeah, it's weird how he said that. Watching this back, I really am getting a better understanding of Chris. Like, it's what's the word? I'm not even sure what the word is. Somber, sad, macabre. It's really just there's like a foreboding energy.
Boy's father recounts the events of the day.
What?
Since this was early in the Christmas season, on a Thursday afternoon, the crowd was light. The conversation between Leonard and Christopher lasted about an hour. Christopher was spellbound. Something unusual happened during that conversation. When Leonard Bernstein, in a decidedly British accent, asked Christopher his name, the bear must have misunderstood what the boy replied. Leonard started calling our son Christian. What better name for the Christmas season? And the name stuck like glue. From that time on, for the past year, his name has been Christian Weston Chandler. Christian is very emphatic about that. Bob also offered up some insight into the family's situation. Christopher is a high-functioning autistic child. While intellectually, his age level is 12 or 13, socially, he is around age 7 or 8.
Man, I hate this crap.
He has some behavior problems with his peers.
Let me tell you about how limited he is. Let me tell you about how terrible his intelligence. Man, he's a normal person. He's fine. Just quit limiting him like that, and it won't be as much of an issue. The reason why I have such an issue with this description and the high-functioning autism, I'm pretty sure that term, high-functioning autism, is outdated now. I'm more of the Indigo Kids mindset. Like, the more that you focus on your problems, the more they become who you are. You know what I mean? And I think that it's worse for some people than others. Obviously, there's a limit to that. You need to be able to be aware of like which problems are worth focusing on. But for someone like Chris, he hyperfixates on these things, and I mean, he describes himself as high-functioning autistic for a long time, and he's like, it's annoying because he just, I don't know, he just sets himself on this pedestal of like, I have a weight on me and I've had this weight and look how strong I am because of this weight. And it's like, dude, there's lots of people with autism. Just, I don't know. That's how I feel about that.
And relates better with children a few years younger than him. The Greene County school system was not equipped to teach an autistic child, Mr. Chandler said. The Chesterfield County school system has accepted him with open arms.
Hell, I might be a little autistic. You hear what I'm saying? I might be autistic. Shit.
The article also mentions that Bob had originally wanted to name his son Christian, but had chickened out. It is unclear what scared him off from naming his child Christian. In any case, the following year, the boy had his name legally changed to Christian Weston Chandler. In the spring of '96, Barbara retired from her secretarial position at Virginia Power and moved in with Bob and Chris, reuniting the boy with Patty the dog. In late spring, Chris graduated from Providence Middle School. As a parting gift, Mrs. Sanford wrote a personal, touching, and prophetic letter to Chris. Well, it's been 3 years now at Providence, and it's all over. Where has the time gone to? The most important parting words I can leave you with, well, are to always remember this. You show people where your weak points are located. Then they will know how to push your button. If you never show them, they will never know. I hope you will have an enjoyable summer and come back to visit. Do your very best at Manchester, put your best foot forward, and treat others as you wish to be treated. Love, Mrs. Sanford. The match.
I have to stop for a second. I know I'm stopping a bunch, but I wanted to stop for a second to look at just before this letter. Barb. You know, you don't hear much about Barb until later because she becomes integral in the story. But I think it's important to point out that Barb kind of just like messed around. I don't know what she was doing. Like, she had a secretarial position, which is fine. Retired at this age, which seems a little early. And, I mean, it's not really my call to make, but I'm just saying. It seems like she was just trying to cash in on Bob getting royalties and Chris probably getting a government check each month for having autism or something. So, you know, it is what it is. You want to stay home, take care of your kid more. But I don't like Barb. Let's just say that.
And moved in with Bob and Chris, reuniting the boy with Patty the dog. In late spring, Chris graduated from Providence Middle School. As a parting gift, Mrs. Sanford wrote a personal, touching, and prophetic letter to Chris. Well, it always happened to be Manchester High School, where, according to Christian, he spent the happiest years of his life. Over the course of 4 semesters, he studied Spanish, of which he has a very loose grasp. For class assignments, he adopted a Spanish name, Ricardo, a common practice for students in order to better get into character and the culture of the language. However, Christian got too into character and often used Ricardo in class assignments outside of Spanish and even considers it as part of his real name. When riding on the school bus, he used to sit right in front of the bus door so he could always get off the fastest. However, during his freshman year, he got into an altercation with another boy who wanted to be off the bus first. He punched Christian in the face, knocking his glasses off.
Jeez.
In order to resolve the issue, Chris was forced to take the special ed bus to school from then on, which deeply affected him.
See, that's
He
not
always felt
necessary.
very uncomfortable associating with others whom he called slow in the minds.
You're literally
I ended up with...
Come on, man. You're getting bullied and straight up assaulted. And the solution is to take him off of the normal bus and put him on the short bus? Like, that wasn't even his fault. That's just some intolerant kid.
with this really worse off mentally challenged person who could hardly ever speak other than That boy bopped me on the back of the head for his own laughs. The special ed teacher who rode on the bus talked with his brother about it, and he kept him from bopping me. But having to put up with his nonsensical slurred talk was still just as cringy and horrifying. Ugh. Among his other activities, he served as a water boy. And
that's the other thing about Chris. That's the other thing about him that really just puts everyone off. He just complains. God, he complains. Everything is just so awful. Everything is so bad to him. He just...
they weren't doing what they were supposed to. My parents suck. My babysitters
put me in a room. It's like, it's everyone's fault but his. It's very Amber Lynn, actually. Watching this whole documentary, I found a lot of parallels between what's the word? Divergence in what's the word? God, I keep forgetting words. The divergence of responsibility. Found a lot of parallels between Chris Chan and Amberlynn. It's weird.
And allegedly a manager for the school basketball team, the Manchester Lancers, along with Joseph Herring, one of Christian's only male friends. Chris had always gravitated towards girls, and at Manchester, this was no exception. He had a sizable group of female friends, which he dubbed gal pals. Among the first that he met was Molly Quarles, a cheerleader at the time whom he met as a freshman. He fondly remembered them being paired up during a matchup event for Valentine's Day. Laura Beth D'Orazio was another cheerleader Chris met and fell for, but after he confessed that he had a crush on her, she told him that she would like them to remain just as friends. Tiffany Gowan was said to be a real...
Laura Beth D'Orazio? These names sound like R.L. Stein characters. I'm
good
just
girl
saying,
to Chris, and he has described her
I'm pretty
as a
sure
bit
these
of a
are all, like,
tomboy
pseudonyms at
and
this
a
point.
peppermint patty to his Charlie Brown. Kelly Andes was his biggest crush and says they were high school sweethearts, even though they were never in an actual relationship together. Sarah Bevel was in the same chemistry class along with Kelly and Chris. Sarah had a boyfriend at the time, and Chris watched them interact, hoping to experience that kind of relationship one day. It was fun to just watch them flirt with each other. I could have learned from that, but my autism and normal social phobias held me back then. Miranda Mitchell was the big brain in his circle of friends and shared computer graphics class with Christian. His group of gal pals were possibly not genuinely interested in a friendship with Chris, but rather stayed with him out of pity or as protection.
Or possibly because Bob was paying them. That has always been a theory.
A later comment made by Chris suggests that the group had made an arrangement with Bob and or the principal of the high school.
You see what I'm saying?
Concerning schoolwork, there is a wealth of information that has been attained, which helps to refute his previous claims that he held an honor roll streak all throughout high school.
Oh, hell no.
For one of his assignments, he had to conduct an interview with his parents, offering some more information about their life experiences.
Okay, well, let's just stop for a second. You might be questioning, how do they have this? How do they have this homework assignment from Chris from 1999? Or from... yeah, 1999. That is because there was a house fire at some point. And during that house fire, Chris and everybody had to move out. And people, random people, trolls, went and infiltrated the home, the property. They didn't like home invade or anything, but they went and dug out the garbage. And this was sorted through from the garbage. It was picked out by firemen after the house caught on fire. So, yeah. Just keep that in mind. That's how a lot of this history came to light.
Honor roll streak all throughout high school. For one of his assignments, he had to conduct an interview with his parents, offering some more information about their life experiences. For the question, "Why did you choose to have children?" they answered, "It's nice to have kids." For "What adjustments did you have to make after your first child arrived?" they answered, "Laughter from 4 kids and 3 situations," referring to their troubled past marriages and estranged children. Interestingly, when asked about what has been the hardest part about parenting, the answer was, dealing with the school system. In another assignment concerning families, Chris inserted mathematical equations into his definitions, making them hard to read and understand. For example, he defined a nuclear family as a mother, father, and X is more than or equal to 1 child sharing the same household. He also described adoption as a right to raise a child who is biologically their own. Christian took part in a parenting exercise in which he wore an empathy belly to simulate the feeling of being a pregnant woman. He wrote a report describing his experience. Having a belly like a pregnant woman was really an awkward experience. When I tried to get my pencil bag out of my backpack, the belly held me back by putting pressure on my left leg. Luckily, my arms were long, but if they were any shorter, I would have had a real problem to reach the pencil bag. While I was sitting in my chair, the belly made it uncomfortable for me to cross my legs, and while my legs were separated, it put pressure on my private part, which gave me a strange, weird feeling. He wrote an essay about Japan's involvement in World War II. It should be noted that he addressed himself as Ricardo W. Chandler, or belly. Christian took part in a parenting exercise in which he wore an empathy belly to simulate the feeling of being a pregnant woman.
Okay, so a lot of time during this documentary, it gets kind of glossed over, like what's actually going on. I had to just roll that back for a second. Why? Like, why is he doing this? That's such a weird class or experience. Pregnancy Simulator, the Empathy Belly. And this
He wrote a report describing...
I had to just roll that back for a second. Oh God, he's... I'm sorry. I had to look at that again because I was like, is he describing what I think he's describing? And he is.
His experience. The belly made it uncomfortable for me to cross my legs, and while my legs were separated, it put pressure on my private part, which gave me a strange, weird feeling. He wrote an essay about Japan's involvement in World War II. It should be noted that he addressed himself as Ricardo W. Chandler, with Christian placed in parentheses, and wrote English in Spanish. The teacher justly corrected this. According to Chris, the war was a very tragic event, with guns, insults, and yuck. He continues, the Japanese and Americans had deemed glowering at each other like boxers from opposite corners of a 5,000-mile ring, waiting for the bout to begin. So, the US and Japan really wanted to get it on. He also quoted that President Woodrow Wilson tried to get Japan to withdraw from Shandong. Christian's essay ended up being a mishmash of events of both world wars. In addition, he referenced several books, however all of his findings can be found within the first 8 pages. The teacher commented, restate thesis. There is a page titled Warm Fuzzies for Christian W. Chandler, which most likely was a class activity in which the students wrote nice things to each other in order to promote acceptance.
World War II, US and Japan really wanted to get it on. That's the most descriptive... That's the best description of World War II I've ever heard.
The messages left for Chris read very bland, such as, I like your clothes, is a very funny and nice person. Okay, funny, you are a nice person. Nice watch, you tell great jokes, and you tell fun jokes. But perhaps the most baffling piece of writing that there is on record is his 13 lucky writing tips, an assignment for English class, in which he switches 4 tips in to what most closely resembles Spanish. In any case, it is little more than unintelligible garble. Use standard written English. Do not use contractions in formal writing. You must have a thesis statement in each essay. The thesis statement es el finale estancia de introductory paragrafe. Tu escribes de literature. El thesis incluye el llama de author y llama de work. Los paragraphs soporte y relate que el thesis.
Alright, this is getting a little crazy. I think it's time we might take a small intermission because I've got a diaper to change. So, 5-minute break. 5 minutes. I'll just mute this so you guys don't have to hear this. Give me 1 second, guys. And we're done. That was a record speed diaper change. Record speed. I changed these diapers so quick they call me Lightning McLean. Okay, I'm gonna stop. Alright, Weenie. I gotta get my headphones on, so chill out. It's just headphones. I thought this was Girl World Channel. We're moving out. We're moving on. Bigger things, cooler things. A+ parenting. Thank you. Alright, let's get back on this insane Spanish spiral.
Los parágrafos tienes el topic estancias hablan el unifying concepto de el parágrafo. Los details support
I
y
don't speak
relate
Spanish.
a el topic estance de parágrafo. Necesitas los adecuate soporte details. Escribe el literature en presente tense.
Need more
Necesitas
details.
tres muchacho mirar de puente. Necesitas creas muy bien tu escribes creas sense y es muy logical.
Things must make
Cheques tu
sense.
escribir muy carefully. From the school report, it can be seen that he failed all but 2 of his 14 assignments, earning a D+ for the year. At age 16, Chris wrote a poem.
It's not that it's a big deal, you know, getting rough grades. That's not a big deal, especially in like elementary and grade school. But it's lying about it. It's saying that you were on honor roll to try and make yourself look good. That's the issue.
Entitled Song of Christian for his class, loosely based on Walt Whitman's Song of Myself.
Song of Christian.
He decided to record his creation for posterity in video form. The video itself is poorly lit, but there isn't much to see anyway.
I hear America singing as I sing of myself, and you experience as I experience. The problems of yourself are my problems. The youth of the young singing cries of happiness. The children's song is song of laughter. At age 6 weeks, I sang this song of laughter. Then at 1.5 years of age, the Lord put the mute button on me. My song that I sing, although I talk well, my peer relationship is low and my loneliness is off the scale. Anyway, that's my poem.
Beyond just reciting the poem, he pretends to be the enthusiastic host of the Christian Chandler Show.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Christian Chandler Show. Where there are lots of laughs and all that neat old stuff. Now here he is, the host with the most, Christian Chandler.
I feel like every aspiring YouTuber did this. Like most people, I feel like most people who are in the media industry at some point in their childhood made home movies or did something along those lines where they were just having fun. I sure did.
Good evening, friends, and welcome to the Christian Chandler Show. I am your host, Christian Chandler.
He then rambles on about his fascination with the Sonic the Hedgehog universe and talks about Bionic the Hedgehog, his first Sonic-related creation, which he came up with during basketball practice.
And then I have science friend that helps. Of course, Tails that flies, Knuckles he punches and climbs, and Bionic, well, you heard rumors about Bionic. He's that Sonic's brother I made myself, who's that very good basketball player and mechanic. I can tell you the background story on him.
He proceeds to rant about receiving an F in English class.
I see about God, that's about time I sign off, but...
What a weird combo. He's very good at basketball and being a mechanic. That's so weird. Alright, I mean... Alright.
Before I go, I have just one thing to say to the teacher. An F in English class? You have got to be kidding me. I mean an F. I do not even know when was the last time I got an F. I mean, who knows? It could have been back in old Green County. That stupid place.
You know what's weird about this? These earlier clips of Chris, it doesn't sound like Chris now. It sounds like Liquid Chris. It sounds like fake Chris. We'll talk about Liquid Chris coming up in another video. But, oh my. That whole sequence is hilarious. Liquid Chris is quite funny.
That green guy
But this sounds like him.
Actually, it was in high school, but then it came to Fanny Green Elementary. That's why I got the F. Anyway, then many years roll by. Then you came along and gave me an F. I mean, I started off with an 8, and you just lowered it. I'm getting sick and tired of this lower thing. What do you have against the handicapped children anyway? I mean, I know my handicap is autism, and I'm not afraid to admit it. And you, Mrs. Bird, I think that F is very disrespectful. I mean, I am very emotional about it.
Wow. So from an early age, he is already trying to use his disadvantages to get what he wants. He try and use everything that he has as some sort of emotional stake against everyone else. It's ridiculous. No one needs to live their life this way. It's terrible.
Anyway, it's time I sign off. Well, this has been the Christian Chandler Show.
Around the same time, he made a series of stop-motion videos of races set in his Lego-made town called Quickville, based on his own initials. They were made with a Game Boy camera, which produced grainy, low-resolution grayscale photos, or, alternatively, low-quality stop-motion video. The awkward frame rate makes it difficult to discern what is actually going on, but it is important to note that all the racers are named either after pop culture characters that Christian idolized or people he knew in real life. This is the earliest account of Chris using people to play out his fantasies.
The biggest trend in kids' toy history, it's multi-billion dollar.
Throughout the late 1990s, the Pokemon franchise was spreading across North America, with Chris keeping a keen eye on it. He began playing the trading card game and included illustrations of Pokemon characters in his Spanish homework.
Hell yeah, brother.
He also wrote a lengthy essay detailing how the Pokemon came into their Pokeballs, with which his teacher was very pleased. The year 1999 marked the birth of his wall of originals. This was a designated portion of the wall which displayed Pokemon trading cards that Chris made himself. It featured original Pokemon such as a female Pikachu called Chikachu and Plotistic, a plant which is autistic. Chris himself.
I forgot about that one. Plotistic.
Also appeared several times. His fascination grew to a point that he would dress up as the Pokemon character Ash Ketchum out in public. Around mid-1999, Christian launched his first website, a simple Pokemon-themed effort humbly called Quick's Pokesite, cementing the moniker Quick. It was soon replaced by Quick's Pokesite 2 with a new logo designed by Miranda. He updated it with personal and Pokemon-related news here, semi-regularly, for the next year and a half. This year also marked Christian's first visit to The Game Place, a game and hobby store which allowed returning customers to play video games, board games, or trading card games. It quickly became his weekly haunt. The Pokemon craze was captured on film for Richmond's NBC affiliates WWBT News.
It is my next Halloween costume. I'm planning on dressing up as Ash. Lily's planning on dressing up as Misty. This is probably going to be Togepi. And then we've got I think it's Eevee. It's over here. Let me see if I can stretch. Yeah, it's Eevee. We're all Pokemon this year. Hey, Julie Bean.
Report featured excited young kids playing the game and trying to explain the phenomenon.
How do you play the game?
I can't explain it, it's too long.
Their bewildered parents standing witness.
I'm watching and I still have no clue.
That kid is like, I can't explain, it's too long. You do not understand. He doesn't get it. It's a polite way of saying, I don't know.
And the 17-year-old Chris in action.
I'll put out my Dragonair, even though it has 60 damage on it.
Oh, and here comes Chris, level 99 boss. He's just like, I understand everything. Chris is the formidable opponent at this gathering. You don't want to battle Chris. Chris is wrecking the 10-year-olds.
Oh boy. And now it has 3 energy on it. Slam attack.
So if you had the time to tell me...
To commemorate Valentine's Day.
The sadness. Oh my god, look at this kid.
Slam attack.
So if you had the time to tell me...
Right after Chris says slam attack, you know that kid lost.
To commemorate Valentine's Day of the year 2000, Christian wrote a Valentine's Day hymn, a free verse effort in which he reveals that he holds very traditional views on courtship and the predetermined rules of etiquette for men and women.
And when we say traditional, when he says traditional, he means it in every sense of the word. I'll just leave it at that.
On a date, the man could not pay the bill, so his date slammed her door in his face.
Yeah?
The man's coat over a puddle. The maiden walks. Then the man trips and pays the laundry bill. Under the moonlight, the couples of the world kiss. But unfortunately for a few, they are interrupted by their parents. He uploaded it onto his website. 10 days later, Chris celebrated his 18th birthday, a date which he held in the highest regard. Among the guests in attendance were a handful of Christian's gal pals and his half-brother Cole. Nearly 3 years after the fact, he reminisced about the event. I will never forget my 18th birthday party. It was the best of the rest. The weekend before my real birthday, my mother and I prepared for the party I was going to host that day. We hung balloons and streamers, and we laid refreshments on the table. At the door was 4 of my high school amigas, and one of them brought a friend. We ate pepperoni pizza and drank Pepsi. It was great. As mother lit the candles, I was filling up with ecstasy. After I blew the candles, I was presented with a big jawbreaker from Kelly, an R.L. Stein novel from Sarah, a planer with stickers from Miranda, and a rabbit doll with jelly beans from Tiffany. We watched Good Burger and had fun. After they left, it was done. What did I wish for? I'm not telling. Even though he seemed pleased that his gal pals came to celebrate, he was never pictured together with them, preferring to sit alone. He is also photographed wearing a pair of jeans with a suspicious stain on his crotch. Some have speculated that it is dried semen, but it is unlikely. About a month later, Chris was tasked with designing a CD jewel case for his graphic design class. On the fateful day on March 17th, 2000, I wanted to feature on my favorite hit CD cover lifelong hero Sonic the Hedgehog and cute newer character Pikachu, but copyrighted characters were prohibited from the project. So
Early Christian. The man knew how to take a picture. That's for sure. I know, right? Man. It's weird to hear about that party, his 18th birthday party, because he'll reference that a lot. He'll talk about that a lot. And say, like, that was the greatest moment of my life. I need to go back to that moment. Oh, it's weird.
So, in my mind, I pondered and pondered when it hit me visually. Sonic and Pikachu combined. In a way to escape copyright, he combined Sonic the Hedgehog and Pikachu to create Sonichu, the electric hedgehog Pokemon, which
like
Christian considers to be one of his greatest life accomplishments.
I feel like that doesn't really circumvent copyright, though. Like, it just kind of puts you at risk at 2 separate copyrights. I guess it works, but this is so weird. And that's like the this is like my base thoughts of Sonichu, right? Sonichu is the ultimate Chris Chan representation. He never goes away. He never goes away. But this is how basic it is. It's literally just Sonic and Pikachu together. And in Chris's mind, from an artistic point of view, he says, that's good enough. It's kind of frustrating. And it also, like, doesn't make any sense. That's right, kid. Yeah.
The CD tracklist itself
We're artists
consists
here.
of...
We care deeply for art, don't we? No? Okay, you're just gonna eat your hands? All right. Ah, yeah, we care about art.
Pokemon, Sonic, and Mario-related music, with intermittent appearances of old-time jazz
Sonic
from artists
and Mario.
such as Frank Sinatra and Bing Crosby, undoubtedly an influence from his father. Another month later, Chris had to document a week of his life for a school project. The result was A Week with Christian W. Chandler, a self-documentary, which detailed the events of his life from April 29th to May 5th, 2000. The front cover features a blurry photo of Chris and Patty, with a discolored, ghostly Sonic below. He writes it in the third person, as if followed by a documentary crew. On April 29th, he visits Books A Million to participate in the Pokemon Trading Card Game League. Afterwards, he enters a costume contest, and since he wore his regular Ash Ketchum outfit, he wins and receives a cool t-shirt as a reward. The following day, he talks about packing and moving things from their home in Richmond to their old house in Ruckersville. The next day, he goes to high school. He uses a tripod to help take pictures of himself. During class, Mr. Goss discussed the difference between Shakespeare's world and the real world of today.
Side note, this has nothing to do with anything, but I wanted to say this because it's funny. The other day, I was over at my neighbor's house, and we were walking outside, and there was a bunch of crap on the ground, like in the driveway. And I was like, what's all this crap? It's like random items, right? Like furniture, tables, like just random stuff. Golf clubs. And I asked him, and he was like, oh man, the couple next door got into a big fight, and she was yelling at him and ran him off, and then started taking all the shit and throwing it outside, and I ran out there and took it, and now it's mine. You need a tripod? And I was like, yeah. And he gave me a tripod from this guy. Just a side note, funny, doesn't have to do with anything. Just funny.
Christian rested his eyes after Mr. Goss's discussion and before the bell rang. Next, he had trigonometry. I'd hate to be Christian when his nerves kicked into action after waking up from a noddy snooze cruise, but I was. Next was computer graphics. It was great for him today, because he got to print his own CD cover. Next was Spanish too. He took a quiz today, but I think he feels confident in his work. And finally, after a hard, odd day, he rides home on a bus, but unfortunately, it had a few slow in the minds on it. The following day, he repeats the routine of snoozing through class, and that on even days, he eats lunch with Tiffany and Sarah. For the following day, he describes his daily activities at home, which mostly consist of playing video games and managing his website. The next day, he talks about working in computer graphics class and making a Mother of the Year award for Barbara, which he plans to give to her on Mother's Day. For the final day's report, Chris states that it was a difficult Friday. One of his duties included taking part in a senior group photo. After the long wait for the pictures to be taken, being crowded like a sardine surrounded by immature teenage boys, and having the hot, hot sun shining down on him and everyone else, he went back to the shady entrance. After the photo shoot, Chris was picked up by his dad. And that concludes our week-long documentary of A Week with Christian W. Chandler, the autistic boy that has made it this far. Close parentheses. Chris wouldn't pass up an opportunity.
We got about 2-3 minutes left in this documentary. I just wanted to take a sec to read the chat. I was Jigglypuff once. I was Stitch last year. Baby Chris is weird. Nice. Has he even gotten any copyright or been sued by Nintendo or Sega? At this point, no. I do not think that he has ever had to deal with any kind of cease and desist. But honestly, why would he? It's too ridiculous. It's just too ridiculous of a thing. And also, by the time that they would have sent anything like that, I feel like there would have been a significant troll presence that would attack the company and been like, "You leave Chris alone! This is his copyright, you son of a bitch!" And
to go to
Just
the
a few
senior
minutes left,
prom,
though, guys.
so he did, bringing his mother along as a date. Even though
Cheeseburger.
Christian had labeled the set of photos as the senior prom, it is possible that it was some other social gathering due to the fact that the event is held during the daytime. Looking back on the prom, he claimed that he was naive about dating, unlike the other students. Out of pity, or out of genuine compassion, Tiffany asked Christian to dance. I hesitated at first, but she grabbed my hand and pulled me onto the dance floor. We danced for what felt like hours. It was the most pleasant experience of that night, and I thank her for dancing with me then. He felt that her willingness to dance with him meant that she was attracted to him, and stated that if they were to meet again, they would start a relationship. Graduation. The end of high school. The end of his interactions with his gal pals. Most importantly, it was the day Christian had to be recognized for his achievements. But unfortunately, this wasn't the case. I only got recognized for my grades with a star pin, yet they had more fancier awards for more important qualities. I should have been highly recognized for my artistic talents I showed in my many art classes for the award ceremonies before graduation day. I felt crestfallen greatly from not getting recognized for any of my talents. I excelled in math too, for the love of God. I was so jealous. I was a high-functioning autistic boy who came way beyond out of his social shell, only to get zilch, nada, zip, a big fat zero. I felt so devastated and out of sync. As a result of his heartbreak, he only went up on stage to receive his diploma without looking at anyone's face nor shaking anyone's hand. After the ceremony was over, he found himself an unoccupied table, sat by it, and cried.
I'm sorry. This is the actions of a complete loser. I know that sounds harsh, but geez, what an ass! Like, he could just mad about not getting more awards at your high school graduation ceremony. Get a life. Get a life, dude. Oh man. Oh. Needs to be said. This is what needs to be said.
Eventually, his mother and later Tiffany came to console him. His father would look back on this event with shame and anger for years to come.
A little bit, yeah.
Christian's time at high school
Like, it's
is
not
still
a big
thought
deal
of
with
fondly
high school
by
students.
him, recalling his sweet memories of creating artistic projects for class and frequently hanging out with his gal pals, all of which were abruptly ended with that gloomy, rainy graduation. But with the end of high school came the promise of a new world in college, a chance for new friends, new experiences, and the first steps to a brighter future.
Not to mention the first steps of the love quest. Ugh. And that is the end of part 1 of the Chris Chan documentary. There's 86 parts. 86 parts, y'all. And I will do all of them. I will do every single one if this is something that you all want to see. Because, you know, it is important. It's important history for the internet. Chris Chan is the most documented human in history. And that is a fact. Relevant to my channel? Yes, I would say so. Trying to move away from your world because it's limiting me? Maybe. But, you know, up for you to decide on that one. I'm just doing my thing here. I guess I don't need these anymore. Let me lay this sucker down. I'll sign off here. Are you gonna be okay, sweetie? Are you gonna be okay? Put on some music. Put on some elf women. Alright. Imagine being in that house in the 2000s. Yeah. Weird. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off, y'all. This has been fun. I'm probably gonna do more of these because there's a lot, and it works for my channel. So, also it helps. I can just squeeze these in before Clove gets up. So, that said, I gotta sign off now because I've got this little baby to take care of, and I've got another kid that I gotta get up and take care of. So, fun stuff. Fun stuff. Anyway, I love you all. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you guys probably tomorrow. We'll see. But more stuff. Please do not send any hateful remarks. All right, see you later.